This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. A participant in nearly 700 PGA Tour events. 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Golf with Jay Delsing on a Sunday morning on 101 ESPN. With Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and we're coming to you from the CarShield Studios presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. Our guest in the next 2 hours, Mark Milton, STL tax lawyer. We're going to talk about the business side of golf and sports in general. UHY Prep Series will feature Jerry Haas, Belleville area native, head coach at Wake Forest, and Bob Harig will also be our guest, longtime golf reporter at SI ESPN. He has a new book coming out on Tiger Woods. We'll get to that later in the show. But first, we say good morning on a championship NFL Sunday to Jay Delsing. Great to be with you.
Hey, Danny. Good morning. Yeah, we got a great sports day. We got little Blues action coming early. Then we got some football. Who are you liking in the games?
I like the home teams. The home teams. I just think it's tough to go on the road in these championship games and win. It happens all the time. So if you're a betting man, probably go against my prediction.
Not that I'm a betting man. But
yes,
I hate to sit there and root against Patrick Mahomes, man.
How do you do it?
He makes you so nervous. The guy makes plays.
And they're not even favored in their game.
I know.
And it was the first time that he went on the road in a playoff game was last week. First time he'd ever done that. He'll have to go on the road, and they'll take on the Ravens, and then you have San Francisco hosting Detroit, and all that's coming up after Blues hockey here on 101 ESPN.
They were a dog, Danny, at Buffalo.
Yeah.
Casey was, and played a really, really good game. That was an entertaining game, man. Wow.
All right, I want to get into the business side of sports. Before we have Mark Milton, I can see him outside our studio right now, and he'll join us for our second segment, but tell us the life of a golfer on the business side of sports, because people say, well, Joe Blow won. He won $10 million, and he takes that all home. It doesn't take into account you're a one-man band. You're an independent contractor.
Right.
Your travel.
Right.
And, again, we're not feeling sorry for these guys or for you over the years. It's just it's more than what meets the eye on the business side of sports.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're coming off the off season. So depending on what your contractual stuff looks like, you might be renegotiating. I only had a 2-year contract twice out of 30 years. I mean, so I was always renegotiating and always looking, and there were some really.
When you say contract, what do you mean by that? With the
there's a couple things that you get paid for playing professional golf. There's a ball, shoe, glove deal, and those are usually I for my entire career was with Titleist. So I was a FootJoy Titleist guy, and so it was a Titleist glove, and there were times where the latter part of my career, Danny, I was full blown Titleist. I was a staff member. I had a Titleist hat, and so it all depends on what your last year looks like and where your bargaining power is. But what's interesting, D, is that I watched this happen as there was more money because of Tiger in all of these pies, so to speak. The bigger guys took more of the pie. We smaller guys all got
equally dispersed.
No, not even close, man.
Yeah.
Not even close. So if say, for example, let's see, who would have been the top Titleist guys when I was there? Probably Adam Scott has always been a Titleist guy. It's interesting. Tiger was a Titleist guy initially.
And then went to Nike, and things changed from there.
Things changed just monumentally from there. But I'm trying to think of who else would have been the big Titleist guys. Brad Faxon was a Titleist guy his entire career. And so, what I would have been making, they would have been making multiple times more. They were tournament winners. They were higher on the money list than I was. And then I always did well, though, Danny, with some relationships from other companies that maybe would put a patch on my sleeve or
something on your hat,
logo,
maybe
side of the hat, or the logo on the bag, because I was doing that corporate entertainment and hospitality. So one of the cool things for me is my off season, I was planning that schedule as well, because the tour schedule would come out, and then depending on what it looked like, I scheduled a lot of Monday outings, so I would go straight from, say, the Canadian Open in Toronto, and then I'd try to schedule the one in either in Toronto there or in Brantford or in wherever it was, maybe sometimes Windsor, some places that were easier to travel. And depending on, I started getting better and better at the business and getting bigger and bigger deals. So I would get multiple days, and sometimes my week off would consist of doing 3 outings, because it was such a great way to supplement my income. But basically you have, I only had a closed deal twice. I had a Calvin Klein thing for a while, and then I had one other closed contract. I was the first person to reach out to Ralph Lauren. This was back in the early 90s, before they even got into golf. And they agreed to it, but they sent me a contract, Danny. It was 28 pages long.
I would think of Davis Love with Ralph Lauren.
And then Davis Love came. Then the next year out, Davis came out, Tom Watson came out, and Justin Leonard, I think, came out. And I was like, you son of a guns, man. You got, but that's the nature of the game, right? I mean, so when there's a couple things that you're doing as a golfer, you're setting up your schedule, especially when you have kids. You're trying to figure out, okay, the girls have this. Here's a recital that they're all 3 in, so we're going to be, and here's some volleyball, and here's some other things. And so you're always trying to schedule around there. And then once you start locking the schedule in, you could start making travel arrangements. But, it's not, it was not easy. Early times on the tour, Danny, none of the tournaments had committees that would help you. They didn't send you.
So you were on your own.
At the beginning,
unless you had an agent.
In the middle, my agent didn't do any of that for me.
Yeah.
In the middle 80s, when I first got on tour, they didn't send out a list of hotels. I'll never forget this, Danny. I'm flying into Washington, D.C., and we're playing Congressional. Can't wait. It's called the Kemper Open. I'm staying at some sort of cheap hotel. I'm an hour away. Because you know how crazy D.C. is. You've been there 100 times. You take two different turns. You're in 3 different states. You got Virginia over here. You got Maryland over here. You got the D.C. area. So as soon as I'm going by map. We don't have a cell phone. And we don't have the internet. So I'm going by map, and I'm like, oh man, screwed that up. So I check in the hotel, check out, and move closer. That happened all the time. I remember. The second tournament I ever played in was Hawaii, and for whatever reason, there was some huge convention in Honolulu, and I moved hotels that week 3 times. I was staying at an outrigger hotel, and I couldn't get, they have them all across the city, but I couldn't get anything that would keep me there for the whole week. My caddy and I were carrying luggage down the streets. We didn't have, no one has cars over in Honolulu really ever. I guess towards the end of it's so easy to get around, and you either just took cabs or, but most everybody just stays right in Honolulu, so nobody's driving, and the tournament has transportation taking you back and forth from the golf course. So that's the thing. You're always trying to get better deals on your flights. You're always you have your caddy expenses.
So you eat what you kill.
Absolutely.
And so you're out there on your own trying to garner this business, trying to win on tour.
Yep.
But then there's so many different things you got to worry about. Like you said, hotel, rental car, travel plans, thinking ahead, food, paying your caddy.
Yep.
It's not the way it is now, but you didn't have a team to do that. But that's the business side of golf. Those are the things that you have to think of.
Right. And when you're a young guy, you don't even know the golf course, so you don't know the city. I mean, maybe there were probably a handful, like L.A. I knew from going to school there, and we played Riviera, so I got to play Riviera in college. So when I started getting in the L.A. Open, I'm like, man, I'm going to win. I love this course. And I had I had a 4th place finish there. I had a couple of nice finishes there, but man, when you start going down to like Torrey Pines on Friday afternoons, Dan, after hopefully you made the cut, it would take you over an hour to get back to your hotel because of all the traffic. Same at Riviera. You just sit in the locker room and maybe have a couple beers and wait for this traffic to die down because it was literally a parking lot.
How about the caddy? He's really relying on you to play well.
100%.
Then his cut of the money is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
But how does that work with a caddy?
So back in the day, I'll never forget this. We would pay our caddy $200 for the week and $250 if we made the cut. So we got an extra $50 if we made the cut. And then they get 5%, 5, 7, 10% bonus structure, meaning 10% on a win, 7% on a top 10, and 5% on everything else. But Dan, some of the, you finish 60th and you're making $800. So you carve the guy a check for $40.
It's unreal, man.
Yeah, it's just the way it was, and then it just took off. I mean,
did you have a standard caddy every week, or was it kind of jumping from guy to guy?
Well, early on, I didn't have one, so you're always trying to find that guy, and then I found one. I never kept a caddy for more than 3 or 4 years. We usually just got stale. I was a pretty easy boss. I always gave my caddies, if I wasn't playing in a Pro-Am on Wednesday, I always gave them Wednesday off. And when I was a kid, I used to show up on Mondays. But then as I got older, I never showed up on Mondays because I knew the golf course. So I'd play Tuesday, hopefully playing in the Pro-Am. If I was playing in the Pro-Am, sometimes I wouldn't get to the golf course until Tuesday afternoon. Play a quick 9, see if there's anything different in the golf course, and then play the Pro-Am and go. So the more I could stay at home, the more I did. One night, my favorite, probably the favorite, most fun tournament I ever had was up in Quad Cities, and we're playing, and there's a concert back here in St. Louis that I want to go to on Saturday night. So I finished my round on Saturday, and I'm in 3rd place.
Don't tell me you went to the concert.
4th place.
If you're ready to win a tournament, you're doing this.
Jump on TWA, come back, we go see one of my favorite, it was REM. We see REM at Riverport or whatever they call it, Hollywood Casino now. Sleep in my own bed. Jump on a TWA flight in the morning, back up to Quad, have a little breakfast, get a workout in, go out, finish 3rd.
Really?
Yep.
What time was your tee time on Sunday?
1 o'clock.
Oh, so you did have time.
Yeah.
You had plenty of time to do this.
Oh, yeah. I made sure all that before but it was a blast. I got to hang out with some friends and stuff on Saturday night. And then
were they like, what are you doing?
Nobody knew.
Right.
My caddy knew. He's like, what, you what? And I'm like, yeah, I went to see REM last night. Where?
Oh, that's awesome.
In St. Louis. Yeah, it was a blast. It was an absolute blast.
But those were the days you could get in and out of town frequently here in St. Louis, too.
Oh, Danny.
It's changed so much.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you were there 5 minutes before the flight left, you're on.
Exactly.
None of the security. There was none of the screening and all that jazz. I remember one time I was running. I had a nice tournament in Hartford, and I was really tight to make a flight, and I wanted to get home, and I was hauling butt in my car. Got the little tournament sticker on the side, and that tournament said, you just drop the car off at the National, a lot of times we had to deal with National Car, so we drop it off at National. So I am flying into the Hartford airport, and I look in about a mile before I get to the terminal, I see I got some cop behind me. Lights are on. I don't slow down. I go pull right into the TWA. The bell cap comes out. I go, man, I got to get on this flight. It leaves in like 14 minutes. And then here's this for take my car to National for me. And he goes, yes, sir. So I gave him a couple of 20s. And then I look around and the cop's walking up to me. I get my license out. I said, sir, if you're going to give me a ticket, can you hurry up? I got 14 minutes to catch this. He was like, what? He goes, do you know how fast you were going? I go, nope, but it was way over the limit, I'm sure. So he didn't give me a ticket. It always helps when you got that tournament sticker on the side of the car, So those days playing the tour were a lot more fun. We used to go out a lot together with, Wayne Grady and his wife, Lynn, David Frost and his first wife, oh gosh, I forget her name. But it was, Mark Wiebe and Kathy Wiebe would go out with us, and we'd, have sometimes we don't make the cut, sometimes we don't miss the cut. It all depends. If we miss the cut, we might stay out late and have a nice dinner and a couple of bottles of wine or something. But it was interesting. Once somebody had a couple of drinks in him, Wayne Grady's a great guy, but his Australian came out in him, and he would bad mouth, the United States for this and that. I'm like, dude, why are you here? Like, I love it here. I do.
Yeah.
So, but that whole thing nowadays, Danny, the going rate for caddies per week is $1,500. $1,500. Some have much better deals if they've been together a while. And look, I just talked. We're going to have Joe Scavron on the show. You know who his bag? He left Tommy Kim and went to Ludwig Adberg.
Wow. It's a big name.
It's a big name and he's super excited. And I said to him, you're going to bring so much to the table for that young guy. And he goes, we're going to be a great team.
That's great.
Together. So he said he'd come back on the show, but he goes, give me 4 or 5 months to get my feet wet with him, because he is a Swede. He's pretty much Americanized. He went to Texas A&M and things like that. But yeah, so Joe's always fun to talk to.
So Mark Milton is coming up. We're going to get into the business side of golf, business side of sports. Hopefully it's a fascinating conversation. We need to tip our cap, and I figured on this Championship Sunday, we tip our cap to Jim Nantz, a guy that will be calling the game today, and then also has had just a huge presence in the game of golf.
And he's a great guy. He's been on the show a couple of times. He said he'd come on again. The tip of the cap is brought to you by the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. 314-966-0303. Our buddy Colin Burnt's got a vehicle for you. Any kind of car, he can get it. Man, Jim Nantz, Danny, when the music plays at Augusta and he comes on, it's
iconic.
It's like a comfortable chair,
Yep.
And one of the things I was interested in asking him is I said, Jim, hello, friends. You know what? And he said his dad died of the horrible Alzheimer's disease. And towards the end of his dad would listen to Jimmy all the time. And he would say, he didn't know names. He knew a voice. And by Jim saying, hello, friends, it was kind of like a tribute to his dad.
That's great.
It was really super cool. So here's a guy, you've called every sort of sport you could call super high level. Here's a guy that's the voice of the NCAA tournament, the Sweets, the March Madness, Augusta. How many Super Bowls has he called? The only sport that he's never really been involved in, I guess, is baseball.
I don't think so. Yeah, that'd be the only one.
He's iconic. He is a great guy. He tells some phenomenal stories in the early days of golf and TV and Frank Chirkanian, and he actually had a Sean Connery story too, where he shut Sean Connery's foot in the door, leg in the door, and cut 007. But anyway, Jim Nantz is a great guy. I can't wait to get him back on the show. And the tip of the cap is brought to you by the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood and our buddy Colin Burnt at 314-966-0303.
Some news and notes coming up as well, but Mark Milton, he'll be our guest next. This is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's greatest names. Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Longer, Justin Leonard, David Toms, and more will compete returning September 3rd through the 8th. Visit AscensionCharityClassic.com for information.
I'm delighted to welcome the Amateur Players Tour to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. The APT team has worked so hard to establish a national golf tour for amateurs. Folks, don't miss out on this opportunity. If you love golf and ever wondered what all the fuss about tournament golf is, then this tour is for you. We just released the 2024 schedule, and it is a beast. There's 21 events currently in the metropolitan St. Louis area, with many more to come. But check out these golf courses: Paynes Valley, Ozark National, Stonewolf, Ambrier, Persimmon Woods, Gateway National, and a 36-hole event on Norwood's West Course, and many more. Okay, so the courses are certainly cool and nice, but what's really neat is the way the events are run and how they are run. The APT team does a fantastic job of closely monitoring handicaps and ensuring a good and fair competition. There are 5 divisions, a year-long points competition, major championships, elevated events, and much, much more. Right now, there are over 6,000 members in 41 different local chapters across the country, and all that's happened in just over 5 years. Join now and don't miss out on the best tournament golf in the country, run for amateurs by amateurs themselves. Go to amateurplayerstour.com. That's amateurplayerstour.com.
Hi, this is Peter Jacobson, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Golf with Jay Delsing on a Sunday morning rolls on 101 ESPN, coming to you from the CarShield studios, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and in studio, somebody that we wanted to get in to talk about the business side of sports, in particular, the business side of golf. It is fascinating, and that's Mark Milton, STLTaxLawyer.com, top tax lawyer here in St. Louis. And Mark, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here with you.
Mark, it's great to have you. You know, we got to talk, well, we've talked a lot. We got to play golf together, but give the listeners first just a little background. I know you're a Belleville native. There's some good players from over there.
Yeah, the great Bob Golby is a Belleville native. Grew up in Belleville. Went to the University of Illinois for my undergraduate. Did accounting there. Went to law school at St. Louis University, School of Law, and really with a focus on litigation. Wanted to be a sports agent, actually. When I was in high school, that was what I wanted to be. I wanted to be the next Jerry Maguire.
Boros, how about, yeah.
So I did accounting because everyone I talked to said if you want to go to law school, well, first, if you want to be a sports agent, you need to be a lawyer. And if you want to go to law school, you should get an accounting degree because most of the lawyers I knew all did poli-sci or history, and they said it's worthless. You should get a business degree so you understand what's going on. So that was the path I took, did some public accounting, internships, Big Four, that sort of thing. But it was really focused on, being a lawyer with the eye on maybe being a sports agent. But that's sort of that dream sort of died, I guess, when I was in law school. I really enjoyed sort of the litigation track. Ended up getting a job with the Department of Justice Tax Division.
How cool is that?
Yeah, very cool.
How long did you live in D.C.?
So we lived out there for 4 years. Literally took the bar exam in July and packed up all my stuff and moved out to D.C. the next week. Did not an Airbnb, a Craigslist apartment. Just
They
found
didn't have Airbnb back then.
No, just found an apartment to live in. My wife was a year behind me in law school, actually. So I lived out there for a year, then we got married, and then she moved out there.
That bar's pretty easy, isn't it? Pretty easy
bars, in Missouri, you do the prep course. I think it's like a 90% passage rate in Missouri. SLU does a great job of preparing their students for it. So always nerve-wracking anytime you take a bar exam, you're waiting for the results. I actually started at DOJ as a law clerk, so I hadn't gotten my results yet. Thank God I passed and went on to do 4 years with the tax division, handling a whole host of tax disputes on behalf of the IRS throughout the country.
We always hear in sports that player X signed for 8 years and X amount of $1 million, and everybody thinks, well, let's say it was 8 years, $64 million. Okay, they think, well, he's going to take home the 8 per year. That's not how it works, is it?
It is not how it works, and I always think of that. And anytime I see a contract, I think, well, they're going to probably be paying close to 40, in some cases 50% of that is not their money. It's going to the government in the form of federal income taxes, state taxes, and local taxes. State and local tax is a huge thing that a lot of people don't think about. Athletes in particular, because golfers, as you know, Jay, I mean, you travel all over the country, all over the world in some cases. Every jurisdiction you're in has a taxing authority, whether it be state, cities, counties. All of them have taxing authorities that you have to be mindful of. Now, not all of them have earnings taxes. For example, in a city like St. Louis, we have an earnings tax that they also have to pay when they travel to the city of St. Louis. Some states don't have income taxes. It's no coincidence that a lot of golfers call Florida, Tennessee, and Texas home, right? Because they have no state income tax. So they're able to avoid, let's say in Missouri, roughly 5.5% personal income tax rate. In California, for every dollar over $1 million you earn, they take 13%.
Wow. So
when you look at the top federal tax rate of 37.5%, they're paying more than 50% of every dollar they earn over $1 million. Shohei Ohtani, for example, every dollar over $1 million, they're paying over 50%. They're getting less than half of their money from their contract.
So when they deferred that money and he's going to get paid possibly overseas, was that one of the ways to avoid the tax situation that he would have found himself in?
I certainly think that was their intention. Now, the state franchise tax board in California is one of the most aggressive. People complain about the IRS. The state of California is one of the more aggressive taxing authorities. So it's obviously on their radar. I think whether deferred comp is what they call it is subject to California state income tax. I think California is going to take the position that I don't care where this guy's living. They'll go after the Dodgers. They'll try to say you need to withhold on that future compensation because it was, quote, earned here in California, even though you're paying it later.
Mark, several of my friends, the Australians, and they pay way more in taxes than we do almost every single year.
Sure. International tax, huge issue for golfers, especially when you think about, as a U.S. citizen, you have to pay tax on your worldwide income, no matter where you earn it. So you have to file taxes, but you do get credits for taxes paid to foreign jurisdictions. So Canada, another one, huge. I mean,
They cold cocked me 25% off the top of every check, and I had some good tournaments.
Well,
up
and
there,
so
man.
then what happens there is you still have to report that income here in the U.S., or hopefully you did, or we can take this to a privileged setting.
No
Off air. I think the statute's probably expired. But you have to report that, and then you get credits for what you pay to foreign countries. But I think about athletes, Toronto. I mean, if you're an NBA player, I think it's got to be difficult to get guys to want to go there just because of the taxes and, let alone not living in the United States.
So, Mark, I don't remember the time frame. I want to say early 90s, but I remember my friend that was doing my accounting for me, and I've been on tour now for 6-7 years, something like that, and something drastically changed. He told me a story, and I don't know if it's true, but I think it might have been Billy Joel did 4 sold-out concerts in Madison Square Garden and skated out of New York City paying no taxes, and all of a sudden everything changed. And my tax return suddenly went from whatever to 15, 20 different states all wanting part of this money.
Well, so certain cities do have what they call an entertainer's tax, or but it's really just an income tax. I mean, if Taylor Swift, for example, goes to Kansas City Arrowhead Stadium to do a concert, she would be liable for income taxes to the state of Missouri because she earned that income here. And it's the same throughout the country. I mean, baseball players, if they're traveling to California for road games, those jurisdictions have the right to tax them. St. Louis, they imposed the 1% earnings tax on road teams. So when players come in, they're paying, if you're a Chicago Cub playing here 9 times a year, you're going to pay, for those 9 days you're working in the city of St. Louis.
Danny, did you, because now would that apply to the announcers and things like that, because they're
they're working. If you're working in the city, you paid the one. I'm sure every Cardinals employee is paying the earnings tax.
But did you have to pay state of California? Yeah. Oh, so your tax returns are a nightmare too.
Well, I was just going to ask you, W-2s all over the place for these guys?
So the W-2 would have, so you'd have your federal portion, but then you might have 25 states where they're having to withhold. I mean, it's a administrative burden for employers when you have employees who are traveling all over the country.
Did you ever figure out the real value, let's say, of Albert Pujols' contract? So it was 10 years, $250 roughly. He goes to California. Do you ever think of the real value of what that was?
Yeah, I did. I mean, this was a while back, but I remember doing the math, and he would have made more had he signed with the Cardinals.
Wow.
Because of the California income tax rate being, like I said, over 50%. For every dollar you earn.
Didn't the Cardinals offer him like 208 or
I don't remember.
212 or
whatever
something?
It was.
Yeah.
But you think about this, I mean, hockey too. I mean, you think about, you wonder how much does this impact their decision making, right? Pietrangelo, he goes to Nevada, no income tax, no state income tax. Because I think the Blues offered him something similar, but there you're not paying any state income tax, and he's not paying the St. Louis earnings tax. You think about 1%. If you're a prospective free agent wanting to come to St. Louis, and you're thinking about a $250 million contract, that's $2.5 million over the life of the contract to live in St. Louis, or to, if you're living in the county but working in the city, you might pay half of that. Like, does that matter? It would matter to me. I would think about that.
If you're counting every penny, yeah.
I mean, but to your point, I think the public hears about these contracts and they think, oh, that's crazy how much money they're getting. But like, when you think about what the agent's getting, the taxes they're paying, I know Chris Pronger's done a lot with this, talking about hockey players and, how much, trainers and things that they're paying on the side. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot legally that goes into how should they be set up, right? Because as athletes, as they're W-2 employees. Golfers, though, are all independent contractors. So they need to make sure they're set up in a way to minimize taxes, making sure they're deducting what they're paying their managers, their agents, their trainers, their coaches, all that stuff, issuing 1099s to them, helps bolster their deductions. Travel, Jay, I mean, how much travel expense did you pay out of pocket?
Too much. But I can tell you, we didn't have teams standing back then because we didn't have enough money to pay everybody. We didn't have like a yoga instructor and a chef and all that stuff. We barely had enough money for ourselves.
How many players come to you or those in these type of professions and say, is it better for me not to have an agent and just go with a tax lawyer and say that's one of the ways I can scoot around, paying the kind of money that I'm going to wind up paying? Well,
all of these guys, I mean, have advisors, right? I mean, they're going to have their agents, and they're going to have, we've consulted with agents and athletes on certain things. They usually have a team, financial advisors, tax attorneys, CPAs. But, we've also seen some people who have kind of got suckered into things that seem to, probably should have been too good to be true. Athletes are really attractive targets for different tax schemes and things like that. So, and then they trust people, right? They're trusting that things are being done appropriately, and they only find out later when stuff hits the fan that, hey, maybe I wasn't getting great advice and I shouldn't have been doing X, Y, or Z, or I would have saved money if I had done this. So I think all athletes, whether it be the agent negotiating the deals, they should have a team of legal tax advisors who are helping them navigate all of this, because it is extremely complicated.
So, Mark, let's talk a little bit about LIV, okay? Because Greg Norman has said forever, even back in the early 90s when he was trying to pull off this world tour, the PGA Tour professional golfers are independent contractors. So just by that definition would mean they should be able to go wherever they want. What's interesting on that regard, though, the PGA Tour as an entity does not have to hire you.
Correct.
I mean, so good, let them go everywhere you want, but what happens if the tour would say, okay, Greg, you go play wherever you want, you just can't play over here?
Yeah, so the legal issues there, I think it's getting into more what the LIV argument is you're engaging in anti-competitive behavior. So they're trying to bring in antitrust laws that, in the United States, for example, Major League Baseball, the NFL, they have exemptions from our antitrust laws because they very much do operate as a monopoly in their markets, and we, as a government, the Congress has decided they're going to be exempted from those laws. The PGA, I think, to your point, they kind of want to have their cake and eat it too. It seems that way. I mean, I think that's one of the gripes of Greg Norman is, they're not allowed to. They get so many exemptions a year to go play in Abu Dhabi, or you see them go play, and that's what's funny. I mean, they used to play in these Saudi events, and those would be the exemptions they would use. But obviously, it was a threat to them if they're going to have this competing golf league and all these things. So I think from the PGA standpoint, they to me don't have a good leg to stand on the antitrust piece of it, but they do have a right, I think, to say if you're going to go off to this competing golf league, then we can prevent you from playing in our tournaments.
Mark Milton, STLTaxLawyer.com, our guest in studio. Who has the highest tax rates? What countries? So Jay played all over the world. What are the places that charge the most with their taxes?
So Canada's certainly up there. I would say a lot of the European nations are fairly high. I don't know internationally. I mean, Australia, like you said, is fairly high. But the U.S. is actually pretty friendly in comparison to most places.
So when you start thinking about these LIV contracts, and I know another one of the things that drives Danny and I crazy when we talk about this, we get questioned all the time, but there's so much murkiness involved with the details just get left out. I mean, the business model details get left out. You can see they're winging it as they go. But if you take somebody, John Rahm's numbers don't add up evenly. Let's just say someone that got $100 million and they've got a 3-year contract, right? So it's whatever that is per year, just over $33 million a year. They're playing all over the place, Mark. Mm-hmm. So they're playing in India. They're going to play in South America. What does that look like is that just as big a nightmare? Because now you're dealing with countries instead of not only the United States, but then each state has a different, regulation.
And a lot of those countries make sure to get their money, especially on the purses, right? So if there's a purse for the event, I mean, they're going to make sure to reach in there and grab what they're entitled to at the outset. You probably experienced that when you played, right?
Yep.
When you'd get a check,
yep,
the local state might withhold, even though you're getting a 1099. They withhold.
I finished second one year in Boston and made $88,000, and my check was for $80,000.
So you're paying your taxes.
There goes that $8,000.
Even though it was 1099 work, they still withheld. So that's what happens on the international level. Now, for each player, it's going to be different, right? Because they're each going to have,
home country.
John Rahm might spend more time in different countries than somebody, Phil Mickelson, for example.
Yeah.
So they're each going to have individualized advice on what their international tax obligations are.
But they're going to get hit differently from every
Correct.
country they go to.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And states, as well. And it's interesting, too, if we could talk about LIV.
Yeah.
This team concept, right?
Yeah.
So they want to have these teams be like real teams, like baseball, hockey, so then are they going to end up being employee? From what I read the Live or Let Die, or I forget the name of it. That book was very fascinating. But
Alan Shipnick did
they
a great
are
job.
like the Saudis want that. Like, they want this team concept. They're in it to make money. Despite everything that's been said, they think there's real value, which I'm skeptical of, Jay. I mean,
how can you do that? How can they make money on this?
Well, so they'll sell a franchise. But then Phil Mickelson is your Michael Jordan, right? He is the Michael Jordan to the high flyers, which these names and some
so
I just view golf as an individualized sport. These guys are all different animals, as you, Jay, know. And so that concept is kind of weird to me, but if they do that, then there's going to be more of an argument that those guys, at least in the from the U.S. taxing standpoint, I don't know how every other country does employee versus independent contractor, but like, they would sort of become employees of those teams as opposed to independent contractors.
You have jumped into the Ascension Charity Classic, haven't you? You love it.
I do. I'm a pro-am participant every year. I love to support it. I think it's been a fantastic event. I know you guys have done so much to support that event and help promote North County, and I've talked to a number of players when they've been here. I mean, just they love the experience. Very gracious. They've really enjoyed playing Norwood and everything St. Louis
What
has.
What was it like? Give the listeners a glimpse into the nerves that come in for you
and who you played with too.
And who you played with.
The nerves are real. I mean, for me,
yeah, they are.
2 years ago, I played with Bob Estes. Actually, Bob rocked the STL Tax Lawyer cap this year at the event. I knew of him. I mean, he was a guy that I remember playing on tour, and but again, couldn't have been nicer. But we teed off on number 10, which is a par 3. So I never like teeing off on a par 3, right? Because I'm a 21 handicap. I think I'm down to a 19 now, so I can avoid the sandbagger accusations that I've received in the past. But as you saw, Jay, flashes of greatness with the drive.
Yeah, you could smash it.
And some if I can get out of my own way mentally on putting, decent. So I stepped up on 10 that for and they announce your name, which is kind of cool. And I stuck a 7-iron, put it on the green, 20 feet, and I think I was maybe getting a stroke, so we made like a net nice. Birdies. So, but the nerves are real. But these guys, like Bob Estes in particular, Robert Carlson, I played with this year. They were literally giving us lessons on the course. I mean, at one point I kind of be like, Robert, you're all in my head. This is not going well. I can't digest everything you're telling me right now.
Do these guys hit you up for advice too?
A little bit. I mean, there's definitely some talk. The first year, Glenn Day, we just kind of small talk about what I do and kind of their life on the tour and their experience with taxes. Everyone hates taxes, right? So it's fun to kind of talk about that.
It's interesting that we're talking about this, Danny, because we know so many people that there's always tax issues. There's always everybody's wondering, how can I pay less? Mm-hmm. If you're Donald Trump, he doesn't want to pay any, which I love. He's like, I'm smart. I don't pay any taxes. But what, you can help anybody, right? I mean, you can literally help anybody.
So we specialize in helping mostly individuals and small business owners with tax problems, right? So we help people who, you'd be surprised, have not filed taxes in a number of years. I mean, like, you laugh, but you'd be shocked some of the stories you hear. I always joke our office could be a reality show if there weren't for the confidentiality issues. But, I mean, you hear about, multiple marriages, just all kinds of stories that have led to their tax problems. But there's usually some common themes, and there's a paralyzing fear of the IRS. People that fall behind on filing, or maybe they have filed but they owe money, they just don't know what to do. So I take pride in, we meet with them during the initial consultation, sort of explore what's going on, and show them like there's a way out. Because a lot of people just think there's no, I don't know what, I think in their mind they're just going to die with these problems.
So there's basically 3 phases to what you do. And the first one, just kind of an introductory, you get to know each other, and then you kind of get down to some of the details of the brass tacks.
So it's kind of like a doctor, right? You got to diagnose the problem. Yeah. So our phase 1 compliance review investigation, we get power of attorney with the IRS, with state taxing authorities. We're able to go in and, review their account and see what's going on. For some people that haven't filed, they don't even know where to start. They don't remember where they work. They don't know. They don't have their records. So we're able to get wage and income transcripts. So those are documents. That's the thing. You can't hide money anymore. I mean, the Al Capone days of cash business and all that, it's kind of out the door now with Venmo and PayPal and Cash App and all these things. everything gets reported to the IRS. And so, but the good thing for that, from my standpoint, is I can get wage and income transcripts, and I can lay out for them, all right, here are all the jobs you had. You need to go get me these W-2s or get me these records so that we can do your taxes.
Wait a minute now, Venmo. So if I pay Danny $100 on Venmo, he's got to tell the government that he just got my $100.
So this is an emerging issue. So the IRS has delayed implementation of this rule for 2 years now because they recognize what a nightmare it's going to be. So originally, if you had more than 600 in Venmo, they were going to make you get a 1099. So then that would go to the IRS. Then they raised it. I think it was going to be 20,000, and they realized even that could be problematic with people that are, reimbursement, and people use it for all kinds of things that are not income. So I think they've delayed it another year to try to figure out what's workable in terms of the reporting, because what they don't want is everyone who uses Venmo or PayPal to get a 1099. It's going to be a huge burden on the accounting industry because you're going to have to figure out how do we report this. But even if you don't, what I'm saying is, like, when we also handle audits for people. So that's one of the first things they ask is, like, do you have Venmo? Do you have Pay? They can request those records to see how much money you're making on those apps.
What's, going back to the athletes, the most common mistake that they make? What is it?
So for athletes, I would say getting suckered into
bad deals,
bad tax shelters, promote. That's one of the big things. I think the state and local issues are something that can be very thorny. But again, I think most athletes today do get pretty good counsel, advice, because they know they need it. They know that they're at a point where, like, they can't do it themselves, for sure.
Well, it's interesting because when I start thinking about, you were talking about Venmo in particular, I read an article recently that said a lot of people are kind of keeping cash in their Venmo accounts, but that cash is not FDIC insured. It's if someone, you know how you get hacked, and it happens all the time. If someone somehow hacks your Venmo, you don't have anywhere to go to retrieve that money.
That's true. I mean, even banks, technically your limit is only $100,000 on FDIC insurance. So it's a concern, I'm sure, for some people. Cryptocurrency is the one where we've seen the most loss in terms of people that have Bitcoin and their wallet gets hacked, and that is gone. I mean, a lot of times that's foreign actors, and whether it be Bitcoin or some of the other coins, that's a huge problem. And actually, can I make one point about athletes?
You can do whatever you want.
I've seen, so I have had the most interaction with athletes after they're out of their playing career, right? And I think for some of them during their career, they don't do a very good job of managing their money. They spend a lot, and for most guys, their career is a relatively short duration compared to the rest of their life, right? Most
2 to
people,
4 years, maybe.
Average, yeah, probably, and depending on what your career is. And so what I've seen is just, heartbreaking is the athletes, and there's been documentaries on this too, but I've seen it in real life, is the athletes who today have nothing left from their playing days, and then they get into post playing days. They're a lot of times all 1099. They're showing up at card shows. They're doing autographs. I mean, Pete Rose, he got
Bernie Kosar was one that came out when.
There's
see
a
that?
bunch.
Yeah,
30 for 30.
When I was at DOJ, our office was handling Warren Sapp's bankruptcy, and he had to sell a Super Bowl ring.
Wow.
To pay taxes.
Wow.
I mean, he owed taxes, and that was a public story. But I mean, it was one of those things where, taxes are a major issue for these guys, usually after their playing days, and they're not used to W-2 withholdings. Now they're making all this money doing endorsement deals and card shows and things like that, and they just they don't have the same team around them at that point, so things tend to slip through the cracks at that point.
I love this stuff. I love talking the business
talk about
side of
this.
sports.
All of it.
You love
That's fantastic.
It is interesting. My wife, she jokes like, yeah, people say he's a tax lawyer, and that's got to be really boring, and what we do isn't. It's usually pretty interesting stories behind it.
So tax season around the corner. Best way to get a hold of Mark Milton?
Sure, you can visit our website, stltaxlawyer.com. That routes you to Milton Law Group is the law firm. We're right on Manchester Road in Kirkwood. You can't miss us. We got a billboard on the top of the building. So reach out through our website if you've got tax issues or we're looking for someone to give you some tax planning, tax prep advice. We can certainly do
I
that.
dare somebody to call you and not somewhere talk about something sport related. I know how much you love sports.
I love sports. It's awesome to be with you guys, talk taxes and sports. A lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
That's Mark Milton. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management is a family-owned local business that's been helping our community for over 200 years. In the always confusing world of insurance, Powers Insurance provides clarity, exceptional service, and the latest in cutting-edge products to deliver the highest quality in property and casualty coverage, as well as strategic planning consultation services. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you. That's right, partner with you to customize the right coverage for you and your family. Tim Davis, the Chief Operations Officer, will personally sit down and talk you through the ins and outs of your policies. They are experts at helping you control your workplace expenses and helping to guarantee the safety of you and your employees and their needs. You can visit them at powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com for all of your insurance needs.
Hey, St. Louis, Eddie McVeigh here from Maggie O'Brien's. When you head downtown for a concert or Cards or Blues game, and now for the St. Louis City soccer game, please come see us at Maggie O'Brien's before and after your event. Take our shuttle to and from or stay in-house and watch your favorite team on our multiple high-def TVs. We look forward to seeing you soon at one of our 2 locations in Sunset Hills on South Lindbergh or downtown at the corner of Market and 20th Street. Union Station is next to us.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Okay, so you've been hearing me talk about one of our community's greatest contributors and most philanthropically inclined companies. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Marcone, the largest distributors of General Electric appliance parts in North America. Did you know that Marcone is also the largest and most trusted supplier of commercial and residential appliance parts, HVAC, plumbing, commercial kitchens, pools, and spas? Also, all of that in North America. Their most recent endeavor, the Wreaths Across America program, was a huge success. In case you don't recall, 10,000 wreaths were placed on the grave sites of our fallen heroes across several of our veteran cemeteries around our great country. Marcone is committed to supporting our first responders, all of the branches of the military and service for our military, and our police and firefighters. Marcone, here for you and your family as well as your community. That's Marcone.
Sunday morning, Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on. Fascinating interview there with Mark Milton, the STLTaxLawyer.com to find out more. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We got the UHY Prep Series coming up a little later in the show. Jerry Haas will be featured, and also Bob Harig, who has written a new book on Tiger Woods. Interesting, the business side of sports.
It really was, Danny. There's so much more that goes into it. I mean, you start thinking about that 1% city tax. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, it's amazing what players, and again, we're not crying poor for them.
No.
We're just showing you that there's a lot that goes into it. All right,
Danny, let me stop you real quick,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. What happens for the guys, and Mark brought this up about the guys that go north of the border, because of the exchange rate and everything?
Oh, sure.
That's another thing to have to
Well,
take
the very
into account.
states that are harder on taxes on people than others.
Yeah.
It's all over the
Yeah.
place, and that's why, as he said, there are certain players that will say, "I'd rather be with Texas," or
Yeah.
"I'd rather go to Florida,
Nashville.
stay away
Yep.
from California,"
Yep.
because of the tax implications of that."
How about, he said, if you make over $1 million a year in California, they clip you for 13% state
Yeah.
tax.
Pretty high.
Wow.
All right, so that was fun with Mark Milton. Now, let's switch gears. I mentioned that we have Jerry Haas coming up, and he's the head coach at Wake Forest. It leads me, though, into Nick Dunlap, who turned
How
pro.
about this?
He was in college, first amateur since 1991 to win on tour. He did that last weekend. What did you know about this kid, and what did you take away from it?
Not much. I knew that he had won the U.S. Junior. He's in a group of, he and one other guy have won the U.S. Junior and the U.S. Am, and that's TW.
It's amazing.
Pretty good company. I really didn't know that much. You know, as I get older, Danny, it's just harder to stay up with the college game. You know, the NCAA tournament's kind of fun to watch. They've made it a match play team thing. It's kind of all over the place, but I still like it. It's kind of fun to watch. But I didn't know. But I got to tell you, this hasn't happened in 33 years or something like that. But Danny, I saw the last other two. And
Mickelson, right?
In 91, Phil Mickelson drove down from Phoenix and whipped all of our butts in the Tucson Open, had his little collar popped, and went out there and won the Tucson Open. But Danny, my rookie year on the PGA Tour, I was really good friends with Scott Verplank. He went to Oklahoma State. He's from Dallas. And I had just played with him a lot in college. And I'm sitting in the locker room at oh my gosh, I'm having a senior moment, where it's a men's club in Chicago.
Medina?
No, it's Butler
Okay,
National.
yeah.
We used to play the Western Open at Butler National, and Butler's a beast. I mean, we played a University of Illinois college tournament there. Butler is a beast. And in walks in Scott Verplank, and I said, Plank. He goes, yeah, I didn't know. I get in the Western Open because he won the Western Amateur as an AM, and they give me a spot. And I'm like, right on, man. How you playing? He goes, good. Playing really well. I said, oh, cool. All right. Good luck. Good to see you. He wins the tournament.
He's played real well.
Yeah, played real well. 1985, he beat Jim Thorpe in a playoff at Butler National. And then 6 years later, Phil Mickelson. So at the beginning of my career, you're acting like this is so, ordinary or commonplace to have an amateur come out and win. It's not. And now it's been 33 years since it happened.
What was the reaction with Phil? We got just about a minute or two left in this segment. But when Phil decided and willed his way to a victory, what was that like, the reaction of the guys on tour?
They didn't love it.
Yeah.
No, they didn't love it. He seemed a little cocky. He seemed a little arrogant. But, golf has a way of taking care of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Danny, you tip your cap to somebody like that. You went out and did your best. Some weeks are good. Some weeks suck. And some weeks are in between. But a kid comes out there and he's 20 years old and wins a tournament. I mean, it was the first of 48, 46, something like that. Who cares? Only he and Amy give a damn. We don't care how many it was. It was a lot. We know that. But you think about that's crazy.
It really is.
Think, Danny, how about this? I don't believe Tiger Woods ever made a cut on the PGA Tour as an amateur. I could be wrong, but I'll definitely research that.
I think you're right about that.
I don't think he ever made a cut. How crazy. So when Tiger turned, Phil wins his tournament, we're thinking this is all about Phil. Tiger turns pro in 96. Well, look who knew?
Yeah, right.
It's just everything got rewritten.
So Jay is going to have the UHY Prep Series coming up. That'll be with Belleville area native and the head coach at Wake Forest, Jerry Haas. That's coming up. This is Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions.
Redbird Heating and Cooling sponsors the Veterans Vocational Apprenticeship Program. Jed Dickinson, CEO and retired Navy man, will teach, mentor, and sign off on educational and mechanical work hours to help you get fully licensed while you work and get paid for the company. What a great way to launch your career as a fully licensed HVAC specialist. Call Redbird Heating and Cooling today. That's 314-320-9507. That's Redbird Heating and Cooling.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing, and we golfers are always looking for ways to improve our games. For me, that means I want the very best and the very latest in equipment and in technology. The place for me is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened Pro-Am Golf Center in 1975, and ever since then, he and his family have provided St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and the latest in the ever-changing world of golf technology. Whether you are a scratch golfer looking to find the latest in rangefinders or a newcomer looking to find your first set of clubs, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. You say you're looking to get yourself custom fitted for a new set of clubs? You need to call TJ. He has fit me personally, and he is the best in town. If you mention my name, CJ will take 50% off the already low fitting price. So if you need anything from golf balls to a new pair of shoes or a lesson from Tom, who, by the way, has been helping St. Louisans play better golf for over 45 years, Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood is the place for you. You can also visit them at proamusa.com. That's Pro-Am Golf. This prep series is one of my favorite parts of the show, and I wanted to just try to pick your brain a little bit so that you could enlighten our listeners who have really good young players out there. And talk a little bit, please, just about the recruiting process, what you guys look for, how you interact, how do you get found, things like that.
Well, first thing I will say this, and parents do tend to panic. You see it in all sports, Jay, that where they start them specialized at 11, 12 years old, that this is the one thing they got to do. Some coaches like good athletes that play other sports, that play 2 or 3 sports, and therefore when you get to college to play your sport, you're not quite as burnt out on it. As far as golf goes, I will say this: if you shoot good scores, coaches will find you. Everybody feels like they have to play this tour or that tour, and there are, don't get me wrong, there's many great tours and you get the rankings and all that stuff, but if you can win, you can win. And as we know, the ball doesn't know who you are, doesn't know if you're tall or short or whatever you are. If you get it in the hole, then you become somebody that somebody wants to recruit. Well, then once you identify these players, now you look at the parents and you look at, how will this kid do away from home? Are the parents overbearing? Are they good parents? Do they understand that it's a process that's pretty hard? And then you start calling around, you call the local pro and you call the golf coach, high school golf coach, and you start finding out about the character of the young man or the young woman, whoever, whatever sport you're coaching. And so it kind of goes from there. So then you identify them. And in Wake Forest case, I'm looking for good student athletes. So you have to be able to handle the rigors of academics as well as all that stuff and qualifying. And as you and I know, there's a lot of failure in golf. You have to have some tough kids. You have to recruit some really tough kids that can persevere through everything. And that's where it starts. And, some weeks you think you're the greatest player in the world, and then 2 weeks later you think you're not going to beat anybody. So our job as coaches is once we get them here, and you're only looking at most programs only add about maybe 1 to 2 to 3 kids a year. So it's a pretty small pool. So I would say out there as a young junior golfer, there's no time to quit on a round. There's no time to give up. There's no time to feel sorry for yourself. You need to play. One advice I would like to give, though, is like, let's say it's you, Jay. You're playing in a tournament and you shoot 77, and then you shoot 72, and then you shoot 68. Well, there's a guy that learned from his mistakes, that got a little better each day. And coaches like that. We always like to see how low you can shoot. Better than a kid that maybe shoots 68 and leading, and then all of a sudden he shoots 74, and then all of a sudden 81, and then you get a report from, it was windy the last day, or, I wasn't feeling good, or coaches don't want to hear that. They want to know just basically a pretty subjective sport golf is. What'd you shoot? And then the coach will make the decision from there. We're looking at 15, 16, 17-year-old young men, and then we're kind of trying to predict what will they be like when they're 20. And that's kind of the game. I've said this many times, Jay. You're going to be my tight end at Wake Forest University, Jay Delsing. I'm so excited about you. And you come to campus, and all of a sudden you got the drops, and you can't catch. You know what? Outside linebacker, Jay Delsing. So I can do something with you, special teams or something.
Yep.
But we're only recruiting, like I said, 1, 2, 3 guys. And man, all of a sudden the kid gets a bad lesson before he gets to school, or he loses confidence, or whatever it is. Now you've got to try to work with that. And sometimes they really surprise you how good they get, and then other times. I wouldn't say the word disappoint, but they kind of surprise you how weak they are, or how they don't quite meet up to standards as you'd like. And I played a long time. You played a long time. We know we're going to have our ups and downs, but at least walk like a player, talk like a player, act like a player. You got a better chance than if you just give in to any time a little something goes wrong.
Jared, so interesting because we both know we got punched in the nose, and it's interesting to see how you're going to react to that. And I have so many parents tell me, I don't know if I want Susie, or I don't know if I want Joey to be disappointed. And I tell them, you got to go somewhere else. If you're not interested in being disappointed, I'm not interested in trying to work with your son or daughter.
Right. That's a great point. And it is probably the one sport that mimics life. It really does. And we're rolling along in life great, and then all of a sudden we have to deal with something. And it's just like a round of golf. My uncle Bob Golby said it best one time. He said, every hole is like a crisis. For another word, and it's true. You drive it in the right rough, and now you're like, okay, is it going to jump? Is it not going to jump? So you got a decision to make. And then it's, I hit it over the green, and now do I bump it, or do I flop it? Or, it just never ends. It's decision after decision after decision. And you make decisions, and you make wrong ones, you make correct ones. And it is the greatest game of what if, in my opinion, that ever, if I'm in the trees and I go for it and I clip a branch and make triple, well, I say, God, what if I'd have just chipped out? I might have made par, but the worst bogey. But you don't think of that at the time. And that's what makes it great. Like you say, it punches you right in the nose, and you got to be able to stand up and figure it out. And you go to bed with a bad round, and you can't wait to get out of bed and get after it the next day. And you know what? You didn't play great the next day, and you just can't wait the next day to get up and get after it. So those are the ones that make it. Those are the ones that are successful. And I think you and I especially have seen through the years, man, how does that guy beat me? How is that guy? He doesn't swing it very good. He doesn't look very good, but he just seems to get it in the hole. And then other guys, you're like, man, how's that guy not better than he is? He's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And so very intrinsic game, man. You got to dig deep, and your parents are rooting for you, and maybe your girlfriend or your wife or whoever it is, and your coach, but not many. So you got to be your own best friend.
That's a great point. This is Coach Jerry House of the men's Wake Forest golf team, and this is the UHY Prep Series. Jerry, I sit there and think, my gosh, you're talking to 15, 16, 17-year-old kids trying to figure out what they're going to be like when they're 20. What could possibly go wrong? You know what I mean? You're like, how hard is this job that I have?
Yeah, Lanny Watkins told me that one time. He's like, man, you're crazy to have to deal with 18, 19, 20-year-olds all the time. I'm like, yeah, well, I love it. I love being around them. I love seeing, in a way, living through them a little bit and hoping that they fulfill their dreams as, college graduates and good enough after 4 years to give it a shot to play professional golf. And and if not, I've got a bulletin board full of former players and their families, and they're still great amateur players or the best player at their club. So you still play, I still play, and I tell people all the time. They say, "Man, you play pretty well." I'm like, "Well, it's not like I just decided, okay, I got a tournament coming up, I better stretch or whatever." I do it every single day of my life.
Right.
I do the same routine. I stay loose. I say I got that Scotty Scheffler Golf Forever stick, and I stretch and I work out, and then when you do go play, you don't forget how to play. You know how to handle each, and quite frankly, when you and I get to play, we're kind of this is our time to go play. We're excited. It's fun to be out there. It's not like, oh man, not again. It's the game has not beaten me, and it hasn't beaten you, which is mentally, I should say. So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, it's really something special. Jerry, talk a little bit about what it means to a young guy to wear the Wake Forest. I mean, you guys have been perennial, top 10 program forever, and it's a big deal now to get them to understand, hey, I know your last name. For example, you've got your young son Kyle playing now, and he would probably get it better than anybody. But you get a young man from Arizona or someplace from around the country, and now you're wearing a Wake Forest brand. It's different.
It is and it isn't, I guess. It's a little different, I would say. This is my 26th year, so times have changed.
That's
and
amazing.
Kids have changed. It is, and kids have changed, and I think this generation recently is really looking for immediate gratification, and as you and I know, man, that does not happen in this game. I mean, you work 6 months sometimes to see a little results down the road, so you have to stay with them. You have to remain positive. You have to hope that they're listening. Maybe give them just a little bit at a time to try to understand where we're trying to go. And you mentioned Wake Forest, Coach Haddock, Jesse Haddock, legendary coach, and he always wore long pants. And, so we don't wear shorts. We still wear long pants. And his theory was that he had a player come in one time and said, I'd like to wear shorts. And he said, you go back to your club and you ride your cart and you swill your beer and you shoot your 75 wearing your shorts. He said, Curtis, Strange, Lanny Watkins, they wear long pants and shoot 67s on Sunday. That was his quote to this guy. So we've kept that tradition a little bit. And you're right. When, I know facial hair, I want them to be clean cut. I want them to look like they're trying to be a professional, act like it, talk like it, walk like it. But yet I give them a lot of rope to be who they are. And,
of course.
It's good. It's funny, as you played professionally at the highest level. The good players just seem to look like the good players. They walk like it. They talk like it. They dress like it. They just look like they're in charge, and that's kind of what you want. And that's hard to get across to a kid that's maybe not playing as good as he'd like, but very important how you perceive yourself in this game.
Jerry, my dad used to tell me all the time, you always keep your chin up. Always keep your chin up, and man, that's hard to do when your first inclination when things aren't going your way is you put, your shoulders kind of shrug a little and you look down.
Yep, and you want somebody to feel sorry for you and come over and give you a pat on the back and tell you it's all right. And
that didn't happen in my house.
No, well, that's hey, and that's why you were successful. That's why you made it to where you did. That's why you were a great college player and a great pro, and you had success because you were taught at a young age. I heard something the other day about Tiger that his dad told him. He stopped him when he was leaving for college, and he said, "Young man, when you return home to this house, you are no longer living here. You are a guest in my house." So basically he was telling him, you're on your own now. You're out there at college, and you better make good decisions and figure it out. But when you come back here, you'll be my guest in this house. So, very tough love, obviously, but and hard for parents to do that. But it's necessary. And at the end of the day, if a kid can understand that and realize, oh, he's not just picking on me, he's trying to help me, those kids turn out to be pretty darn good. The ones that think, oh, well, coach doesn't like me, or he's mad at me, or that, why did he say that? Then they're a little bit softer and a little bit, I don't know, self-conscious is the word. They're just a little tougher to coach. So, but they're all different. You got to treat them all a little different.
Jerry, thank you so much for jumping on. This is fantastic. We'll stay in touch. I know you're going to have a great year. I can't wait to see how Kyle does, and just keep well and keep doing your thing. Keep growing the game. It's always fun to talk to you.
You too, Jay, and it's great to have this prep series that gives young men and women a chance to play golf. And at the junior level, you got, like I said, all these tours, and it's fantastic to get support for it, and it's done really well. I follow it, and my son Kyle, as you mentioned, was a winner there. He won down in Pinehurst, so it's been a great thing, and thank you for being involved with that.
I'm delighted to welcome the Amateur Players Tour to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. The APT team has worked so hard to establish a national golf tour for amateurs. Folks, don't miss out on this opportunity. If you love golf and ever wondered what all the fuss about tournament golf is, then this tour is for you. We just released the 2024 schedule, and it is a beast. There's 21 events currently in the metropolitan St. Louis area, with many more to come. But check out these golf courses: Paynes Valley, Ozark National, Stonewolf, Ambrier, Persimmon Woods, Gateway National, and a 36-hole event on Norwood's West Course, and many more. Okay, so the courses are certainly cool and nice, but what's really neat is the way the events are run and how they are run. The APT team does a fantastic job of closely monitoring handicaps and ensuring a good and fair competition. There are 5 divisions, a year-long points competition, major championships, elevated events, and much, much more. Right now, there are over 6,000 members in 41 different local chapters across the country, and all that's happened in just over 5 years. Join now and don't miss out on the best tournament golf in the country, run for amateurs by amateurs themselves. Go to amateurplayerstour.com. That's amateurplayerstour.com.
Get ready to watch the legends of golf up close when they compete at historic Norwood Hills Country Club right here in St. Louis. The Ascension Charity Classic will be back again with some of golf's biggest names: Steve Stricker, Padraig Harrington, John Daly, David Duval, Bernard Langer, Ernie Els, and more will return September 3rd through the 8th at Norwood Hills. All tournament proceeds go to area charities serving North St. Louis County youth and families. Sponsorship opportunities, pro-am foursomes, and more information available for you at AscensionCharityClassic.com.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Chris Nagel. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Darty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Darty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Darty Business Solutions.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing on 101 ESPN. Sunday, as we head to Blues hockey later today on 101, as well as the AFC and NFC championship games will be heard here as well. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. I loved your visit there with Jerry Haas, who obviously has had a big place in golf here locally, Belleville area native, but also a big place collegiately. You guys got into what a parent should do with a kid. You know, if they're getting recruited, how to get found. UHY Prep Series really does help that. Oh my gosh. Steve Wedling and the crew at UHY do so much for golf. He loves the game of golf. He's a member at Bell Reeve, but he's just a lover of the game. You know, he's out there playing, working on his game, and the fact that he's got his company behind it is really super cool. We had Maxwell Moldovan on from Ohio State. Yeah, and he's got a little NIL deal with UHY. And so it's super cool. So you got to check out the UHY series. They've got some tournaments coming up. I know they've got something in Southern Cal not too long. I think another one in Georgia. So folks, get on the web and check it out. It's awesome for junior golf. And if you have a youngster out there, this is where Jerry said, he's like, oh, I pay attention. Oh, yeah. You know, golf is a different animal in how you get recruited, and a kid needs to be aggressive with the coach, and the coach has to be able to see places where you played against other competition or just how good the course is. All those kind of things play into the UHY Prep Series. Oh, Danny, for sure. I mean, think about this. If you go and you're a kid and you're putting up these scores and they're on golf courses that you never heard of, but then all of a sudden you go over and say, pick a place, go to Oakmont where you have a series, or Pinehurst or something like that, and you're over there playing Pinehurst number 2 and you put up a little 68, that goes a long, long way because that's an old classic golf course. You got to golf your ball, and that's the wonderful thing about golf. You know what I loved what Jerry said? If you're shooting the scores, you'll get found. That's right. Yeah, and a lot of folks, Danny, think you got to play these tours. You know, you got to be on this amateur tour all summer long, and it can be pretty pricey, man. Can Jerry, and this goes to you too, can you look at something on a video, just a phone, kid takes a video of his swing to where you say, you know within 2 swings, like, that kid can play. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, you know about somewhere between 30 and 50%, okay? You can't measure heart, and that's what I love, and that's what we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
You know, our favorite athletes are the guys that they have sandpaper. If they need sandpaper, they get knocked down and they get back up, and that's what you can't measure there. But a golf swing, yeah, you can tell if this kid can hit it. Now, can he score? That's another thing because, you know, the golf swing itself, D, will probably never be worth more than 30, 35% of your game. But you'd much rather have somebody that can hit it and have these other components, because then you might have a world beater.
One thing about Jerry Haas, he's got it rolling at Wake Forest. They have not won a national championship yet.
He will.
But he's close.
He will.
His son is going to play for him this year, too.
I know. Kyle Haas is a new part of that team. And, Jerry is such a fun guy. Denny, he's the sort of guy that if you and I were sitting in here with him, and let's say we had to wait, he would have a game going. He'd like put the trash can over there. You'd have like 6 balls. I'd have 6, and be like, all right, now who can make this many shots banking it off a 3-wall, something like that. He's just super fun guy, very competitive, obviously a great player as well.
How good has the amateur game gotten, in your opinion, from when you were playing to what we're seeing now these days?
It's like everything else, exponentially better.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids, the equipment, the training. I mean, you'll look at him, and we got to talk about this. His caddy, and gosh, I forget Nick Dunlop's caddy's name. He's got about a 5.5-foot putt on the 18th green to win the tournament outright. And his caddy gives him one of the best, oh man, I just can't stop smiling. His caddy walks up to him and he looks at this putt and he goes, "This putt is so easy your mama could make it." And he said he just kind of grinned and he goes, he was right. I mean, I know I couldn't feel my feet. I couldn't feel my hands, but it was a left center putt and just hit it, and Danny, that's one of the, when you're young and you can keep it said simple,
Yeah.
You're not thinking about your hands. You're not thinking about speed. You're just thinking, oh, it's left center. Just hit it.
Coming up, we're going to visit with Bob Harig, and he has a new book out on Tiger Woods. We're also going to get into LIV and the PGA Tour and what's the latest with that. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management is a family-owned local business that's been helping our community for over 200 years. In the always confusing world of insurance, Powers Insurance provides clarity, exceptional service, and the latest in cutting-edge products to deliver the highest quality in property and casualty coverage, as well as strategic planning consultation services. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you. That's right, partner with you to customize the right coverage for you and your family. Tim Davis, the Chief Operations Officer, will personally sit down and talk you through the ins and outs of your policies. They are experts at helping you control your workplace expenses and helping to guarantee the safety of you and your employees and their needs. You can visit them at powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com for all of your insurance needs.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing, and we golfers are always looking for ways to improve our games. For me, that means I want the very best and the very latest in equipment and in technology. The place for me is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened Pro-Am Golf Center in 1975, and ever since then, he and his family have provided St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and the latest in the ever-changing world of golf technology. Whether you are a scratch golfer looking to find the latest in rangefinders or a newcomer looking to find your first set of clubs, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. You say you're looking to get yourself custom fitted for a new set of clubs? You need to call TJ. He has fit me personally, and he is the best in town. If you mention my name, CJ will take 50% off the already low fitting price. So if you need anything from golf balls to a new pair of shoes or a lesson from Tom, who, by the way, has been helping St. Louisans play better golf for over 45 years, Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood is the place for you. You can also visit them at proamusa.com. That's Pro-Am Golf.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our back 9 bar and grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on a Sunday morning on 101 ESPN. Our chance to visit with Bob Harig, author of Drive, The Lasting Legacy of Tiger Woods. Also, Bob has been involved with the PGA Tour, looking at live golf, reporting on the game of golf for many, many years. And, Bob, we appreciate your time, and thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's start with the book. I just want to know, why write a Tiger Woods book? What got in your mind? What got in your crawl to go ahead and do something like this?
And Bob, I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, it started right after Tiger won the Masters in 2019. I just thought it was such an incredible story. The comeback from the back surgery, which had only occurred 2 years before. And then, he the following year, he's got this remarkable year where he actually wins the Tour Championship, and actually contended in a couple of majors, but there was no guarantee that he would ever win one again. And so I kind of had this on my mind to do something on that. And then I ended up going down a different road where I wrote about the Tiger-Phil rivalry. And so that book came out a couple of years ago. I started looking ahead to 5 years out from Tiger's win, which is now, believe it or not. This Masters is 5 years since Tiger won his 15th. And I sort of expanded the idea. And the idea is, Tiger, we know his great talent. We know all of his great wins. We know the records. It's phenomenal. But what was sort of behind it? And, what was behind it was his drive. It was his resiliency. And obviously coming back from the back surgery is just one example. And I got a lot of information on actually what he went through and how that all evolved. But you go back to the beginning. I mean, Tiger shot 40 for his first 9 holes in his first Masters as a pro. A lot of us would have a hard time overcoming that, given all the hype that he had been through leading up to that. Even as a 21-year-old, Tiger was like a pre-tournament favorite. He'd won 3 times. He'd only won once that year. That there was enormous pressure, and then he goes out and shoots 40 and comes back and shoots 30 and wins by 12. I mean, I just think it was maybe sort of an early example of what he had inside to dig it out. And so that's sort of the evolution of the book, and there's numerous examples of that. And there obviously his cut streak is another good one, coming back at Torrey Pines to win when he had the bad knee and the bad leg. And then even the most recent comeback from the car crash. Just the fact that he's made the cut twice at the Masters after that is pretty remarkable.
Bob, for someone that got to see up close and personal what it was like, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head here. There's competitive guys on the PGA Tour. Hell, we're all really uber competitive. What Tiger has is so exceptional. Bob, I never saw him give up on any sort of shot. I don't care if it's an 80-foot putt for triple bogey, which he didn't have nearly as often as some of us others did, but he never gave up on anything.
He didn't. And I mean, look, it's kind of human nature. Like just for the cut story or the cut streak, 142 in a row, basically 7 years of made cuts. I mean, Jay, there'd be a Friday probably when you just don't feel like you have it. Your mind starts to wander. You think, it'd be kind of nice to get home. I'll get home and work on my game and figure it out for next week. And in your mind, the flight schedule's coming up, or, and this happens. It's just kind of how we are. It's how people are. I mean, you try to sort of justify why, all right, I'll look at the good in this. I don't have it this week. I'm not going to make it. Tiger, you have to figure there were 12 times where he just did not have it, where his game wasn't there. He was searching, and he somehow figured out a way to get to the weekend. And, his line over the years has been, you can't win if you're not here. And that's how he thought. He thought, if I can get to the weekend, no matter how far back I am, I can still win.
It's interesting, Bob, when you look at the win percentage, that's another thing that is really exceptional, because the greatest, well, there's the story and the conjecture about who's the greatest player of all time, but Jack's winning percentage was just under 10%. And Tiger's winning percentage, and I have not looked at it in a couple of years, but it was somewhere around 24% back when he was playing all the time. I mean, that's leaps and bounds. It's not easy to win on the PGA Tour, especially, when you were mentioning back surgery, Bob, he had fusion surgery. That was considered the career ender.
Right. It certainly could have been. There's a reason he didn't have it right away. Because he was trying to Band-Aid it. He was trying to get by without having such a serious surgery. And there was obviously concerns that he couldn't come back from it. And it was almost a surgery of last resort. And it was really more about his life, his standard of living. He was in such pain and he just had such trouble getting around and everything that he wanted, to find some quality of life. And to think that basically 7 months after that surgery, he played in the Bahamas, played a tournament. He followed up, he played Torrey Pines in the spring or in that January. I mean, he didn't make the cut at Riviera, which has always sort of been a bit of a difficult venue for him. But he was making cuts. He was competitive. It's crazy, and that is, you're right. It is not, we're not just talking about back surgery. We're talking about a thing that would put most people on the shelf for a long time. The recovery time from that is long. I mean, you come out of that and you are not feeling good for a while. And look, let's be honest, and I address it in there. He had an issue. 6 weeks later, he had the DUI where it was prescription drugs, where he was found by the side of the road. And, Tiger's never really talked about it, but you can probably put 2 and 2 together and recognize that, he was in pain. He was dealing with the aftermath of that surgery. And that was in late May. And so to think that 6 months after that, he's swinging a golf club at the speed that he swings, and competitive is really remarkable.
Bob Harig is our guest, author of Drive, The Lasting Legacy of Tiger Woods. There are so many chapters that have not been written for Tiger thus far. Drive is part of his legacy. What else do you think it is at this point as he approaches the age of 50?
Well, I mean, I think his legacy might be complicated, frankly. I was sort of delving into the golf side of his legacy. But I mean, I think there's a chance that there could be a elder statesman legacy, or a big mover and shaker in what's going on in golf right now with LIV and the PGA Tour and the framework agreement. Tiger has a big role in that. Also, it's complicated by some of the things that have occurred in his personal life. We'll always wonder how might Tiger have fared had those things not occurred. the scandal impacted him for a couple of years. He did not win from 2009 until 2012. Then he started getting injured. He went 5 years from 13 to 18 without a win, and then he managed to win 3 more times. But what would have happened if Tiger had been healthy during all that time? It's fair to wonder. I mean, could he have caught Jack? Could he have got to 90 or 95 PGA Tour wins? I mean, these are all things that we're sort of left to wonder based on that. So I think his legacy is a bit complicated in many ways.
Bob, I couldn't agree with you more. And for me personally, I think he blows Jack's major record out of the water, and he wins over 100 PGA Tour events. I really do, especially in 2010 when the Open Championship was back at St. Andrews. The U.S. Open was at Pebble Beach, and he had just, remember, in 2009, he just had come off of 10 worldwide wins. I mean, oh my gosh, when I think about that and think about what he's been through, Bob, one thought comes to mind. We've the 2 best players in the last 25 years on the PGA Tour have brought more drama to the PGA Tour than our entire existence prior to this.
Yeah, it's really pretty amazing. And, I can make an argument that Tiger could have caught Jack if things had gone right, based on, like what you said, 2010, great opportunities. Augusta obviously finished 4th, U.S. Open 4th, didn't have his game. And the Open was at St. Andrews, where he had won the previous 2 times. Missed opportunity because of all that had gone on. On the other hand, Jack didn't have the rival. He didn't have the record to chase. And 19 seconds in majors. You wonder how Jack, maybe how many more he would have won. I'm not saying Jack wasn't motivated, but, when he got to, 12, 14 majors in that range, he didn't even realize who he was chasing. He passed Bobby Jones when he throw in the amateurs, who had 13 if you include his amateurs. He passed Walter Hagen. I'm not even sure there was any fanfare about passing Walter Hagen. And Jack might have added on a few more had he thought about really trying to set that big. He when he got into his 40s, while he still played, he was delving into other things a lot. Tiger really didn't do that. Tiger was still fairly committed to golf, and yet was really waylaid by injuries, which Jack was not.
Bob, we had Jack on the show, and then had some of his constituents that were Tom Watson, Lee Trevino, some of these guys on the show, and we asked that question. And Andy North had one of the best quips about that, and it concurs almost exactly with what you said. Jack was more of that trailblazer. He didn't have his sights set on anything other than, just trying to win as many as he could.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot to that. And, it's fun to talk about, interesting to consider, who's the greatest or who's the best. I mean, Jack has the best record. I think Tiger faced better competition. I wonder how Tiger would have fared. Let's say there was never a change to the type of equipment Tiger's played with. I think Tiger's even more dominant because his skill level, the equipment kind of evened the playing field a little bit. And, it brought people closer to him. If he'd have been hitting a wooden driver and a lot of golf balls, he might have won even more. I think, and you could say the same for Jack in his time with the equipment advances that he was able to take advantage of that helped others probably more than him. So there's so many aspects to all of that that's really kind of fun to get into.
Bob, how did you dig in the information for the book and getting to people that maybe knew Tiger, both professionally, personally, those kind of things, but just the research that went into the book?
Yeah, a lot of it was from reporting that I've done over the years, having been at all these things. I actually have been very fortunate. I have not missed a Tiger major win. And I've probably been to more than half of his tour wins. So, I have sort of a database of everything that occurred. And so I just went back and talked to the people that were involved. I got Hank Haney and Butch, and I talked to Sean Foley, his coaches. I went back to those people that played in the Masters with him in '97, like Faldo and Monty, Paul Azinger, obviously the 2008 U.S. Open. So I just sort of did it that way. Now, if there's any news in the book, I mean, I think when you read it, there's things that you will be jarred into your memory. You might have forgot, but if there's anything new, I kind of try to dive into like what he went through to have that back surgery, like how dire it was, how it all came about. He actually went to London to consult with some people. They determined how bad things were. They made a recommendation to a place in Texas, which is where he had the surgery. There's been a couple of other people that have had it. There's a guy named Greg Owen who played the tour for a while. He's in his 50s now. He's trying to play Champions Tour golf. He's from England. He went to the same doctor to have the same surgery because he was in the same immense pain. And he was very good talking about it. I mean, the doctor can't really talk about personal stuff. Tiger's never really gone that deep on it. There is what he has said. But that's sort of the main, crux of how I got to where I needed to be.
Bob, when I turned 50, I had back surgery. I had a microdiscectomy that was considered a failure. And that's when I learned that there's something called failed back surgery syndrome, which is kind of a thing doctors made up, I believe, to kind of hoop in all of the things that happen to you after it doesn't work. And their next suggestion was the fusion. And I have never had it done because I was petrified that it would, I wouldn't be able to play anymore.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you. I think that that's the fear. But I mean, in the case of Tiger, and certainly I know Greg Owen, their quality of life was so bad that they felt like they had no choice. Like it wasn't about golf. It was about, this is so bad that I can't live properly if I don't get some relief. And so, I do think that these doctors try to manage it so that you don't go through this. You don't have to have the spinal fusion. But it ends up being sort of the last resort for some people. And that I think makes it even more remarkable that Tiger came out of that and won a couple more times, including a major.
Bob, while we have you, and I know a few more minutes before we need to let you go, where does the PGA Tour and LIV stand in your reporting? You're around it. You're talking to people in and around the scene. Where are we right now with trying to get a merger for these two?
Everything I hear is they're working towards it. That they are keen on getting something done. I think a good number of people on both sides of this now recognize that the game's in a bad spot if there's not a deal, because they're going to go their separate ways, and you're going to have only a few times a year where you're going to see a guy like John Rahm playing against Scotty Scheffler. Now we can delve into that was Rahm's choice, and I'm not I have no problem with anybody who hates LIV or thinks that the PGA Tour made mistakes. I get all that, but I mean, now we've gotten to this point where they've got this in front of them where they're trying to make it work. And I think we'll be better off if that happens, because if they go separate, you've got a tough situation that I don't think is very amenable to having a worldwide game and where we're all, cheering on the best players all the time. And now how they work this out, good luck. It is a monumental chore, a difficult task to figure out a plan that brings them together in this for-profit entity, but also keeps the PGA Tour nonprofit intact.
Bob,
how they work that out is quite the challenge.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just don't see. I don't see a way that if we leave the Saudis out, they'll just keep throwing more and more money at this thing and keep stealing players. I think the John Rahm coup, for lack of a better word, was the shot across the bow that said, hey, I know we had this gentleman's agreement that we weren't going to take anybody before the 31st of the year, but you're leaving us out of these conversations. We need some action. And I was hoping, Bob, something before Augusta, but I just love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it happens before Augusta also. The longer this goes, the harder it is to get something done for next year. And I don't know that we want to go another year with it divided. And I agree. Look, there's two ways to look at this. And I've written both of these at SI. One is if they have an agreement, then the sides come together and the PIF, the Public Investment Fund, backs off on this poaching of players, because in theory there'd be some plan by where they play together again. Bryson has just talked about it. Like, he's like, we need to come together. We need to be playing together. How that looks, we don't know. But what it does is for LIV, let's say LIV is folded in some way. I don't know how it would work. Would they lower their number of events? They'd have to change their structure so guys could come on and off the tour. Other people could play in these team events, but that would then possibly enhance the value of those teams. And those teams would be a profit center for this new entity, which needs to make money because it's a for-profit entity with billions in investment. So that all of a sudden becomes something where maybe an owner wants to do it. If they don't make a deal, I think it's very hard for LIV to prosper because they're going to be considered an outlier. They're not going to be part of the golf ecosystem. It's going to be, are they ever going to get world ranking points? Would there still be a stigma with them? You see it today. There's people that just do not like it. They hate what they've done, and so they'll never accept it. They need the acceptance. They need TV windows, frankly. They don't have them right now. The next week when they play their first event in Mexico, it's up against Pebble Beach. Well, what are you going to watch? I mean, are you going to go back and forth? Are you going to watch Pebble Beach? I mean, it's not as strict. We're going to just watch LIV. And whereas if they had a deal, well, maybe who's ever the broadcast partners show LIV until 4:00 Eastern time, and then they go to the tour event and they become all together. So that's why I think a deal is necessary. I think both sides suffer if there's no deal.
Bob, before we let you go, Bob Harig, author of Drive, The Lasting Legacy of Tiger Woods. Best way to get your book and the release date? I know golf fans are very curious about that.
I just think the easiest way is to go through Amazon. Most people, who have that get free delivery. It usually comes in a day. The release date is March 26th. It's 2 weeks before the Masters. And I think the timing is nice because I think we'll be talking about Augusta then. And I think we're expecting Tiger to play. And obviously we're curious to see how he looks once again.
Absolutely. Hey, Bob, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and we'll catch up soon again.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for having me, guys. Enjoyed it.
Thanks so much, Bob. Safe travels.
Bob Harig, author of Drive, Jay. The Lasting Legacy of Tiger Woods.
Redbird Heating and Cooling sponsors the Veterans Vocational Apprenticeship Program. Jed Dickinson, CEO and retired Navy man, will teach, mentor, and sign off on educational and mechanical work hours to help you get fully licensed while you work and get paid for the company. What a great way to launch your career as a fully licensed HVAC specialist. Call Redbird Heating and Cooling today. That's 314-320-9507. That's Redbird Heating and Cooling.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green designed to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Okay, so you've been hearing me talk about one of our community's greatest contributors and most philanthropically inclined companies. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Marcone, the largest distributors of General Electric appliance parts in North America. Did you know that Marcone is also the largest and most trusted supplier of commercial and residential appliance parts, HVAC, plumbing, commercial kitchens, pools, and spas? Also, all of that in North America. Their most recent endeavor, the Wreaths Across America program, was a huge success. In case you don't recall, 10,000 wreaths were placed on the grave sites of our fallen heroes across several of our veteran cemeteries around our great country. Marcone is committed to supporting our first responders, all of the branches of the military and service for our military, and our police and firefighters. Marcone, here for you and your family, as well as your community. That's Marcone.
Heading down the stretch on Golf with Jay Delsing on 101 ESPN, coming to you from the CarShield Studios, always presented by Daugherty Business Solutions with Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Our thanks to Bob Harig, who was part of the show in our last segment, a chance to visit with him, longtime writer with SI and ESPN, author of Drive, The Lasting Legacy of Tiger Woods. There was a lot to get into, but I forgot the 40 on the front with the first Tigers Masters. Amazing. Just a 40 on the front and then just turns it around and turns everything around and wins the Masters.
Yeah, shot 30 on the back and won by 12. So he shoots 4 over par D, his first 9 holes, and then beats the field by 12.
How about the cut streak? 142 in a row. Basically 7 years.
It was up at Royal Montreal where I think it all broke down, and it's incredible. I mean, it's just incredible. Jack never had anything like that, and I don't think Jack necessarily cared, but it was interesting what Bob said about when you try to compare the two. And I think it's futile, right, to compare the two. So much difference. It's just fun for us nerds. You and I will sit around and do that in other sports too, talk about Bob Gibson in relation to the pitchers nowadays. It's just a joke. But it's what Tiger has is this it factor. And Bob's calling it drive. It's just this thing that you know what it is, but you don't really know how to describe it.
How do you think he fares? As Bob said, he's going to release the book a couple weeks before the Masters, and it looks like he's playing better.
Yep.
His swing looks better. He looks healthier physically. Right. How do you think he fares in this upcoming Masters? Can you put a definition on that?
Not yet. D, it's going to be really interesting. I think his first tournament's going to be L.A. Open, the Genesis. So he's going to release this new clothesline that we're all expecting it to be with TaylorMade. It's called Sunday Red. Super cool. I can't wait to see it. He's never had a good record at Riviera. He's missed cuts there before. He's never won the tournament. So it's going to be interesting. But most of the golf courses, D, on the West Coast, super easy to walk. Now, weather, I thought he might, even though it's kind of a cluster, start at Waste Management.
I do too.
Because, D, you've been out there 100 times. It's flat as a pancake, easy to walk, usually warm, and that warmth comes in handy when we saw him last year. I'll never forget that image, sitting down watching with you, and he is struggling to even walk
at the Masters
at Augusta, and it was cold and 45 and rainy, and you're like, this isn't going to be good. But we're going to get a good indication. He played 2 weeks in a row, or maybe 2 out of 3 weeks with the PNC, with Charlie, and then his tournament down in the Bahamas, and he looked really good. He walked the 4 rounds in the Bahamas, and he looked pretty good. That's a flat golf course as well. And so I think this is going to be more about his stamina and how he could get this built up so that it's not taxing on his mental side, Danny, because I think it just wore him out, the stuff. Just to make the cut, he was, jumping through as many hoops as he could.
It's incredible how he's come back from these injuries as we wrap it up. The fact is, he's a pro athlete, not just a golfer, but a pro athlete. And when you think about the torque on the body, the back, the core, what he has to do in walking, what he's had to do with his legs, it's kind of hard to imagine what he's been through and still being able to compete on a high level.
Right, Danny, spot on. And here's a huge differentiator, folks. And when Tiger says this, I'm not sure if you know what he's talking about or catch it, but he says there's a massive difference between rehabbing and training. So when he's rehabbing, he's trying to get his body ready just to try to play. When he's training, he's doing golf-specific work on his game. And if you get that man training, look out. I mean, I want him to win. I don't know what I want him to win. I want him to win anything.
It's good for the game.
Awesome.
Good for the game.
You and I will be jumping up and down,
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Our thanks to the STL tax lawyer, that is Mark Milton. We had the business side of sports, Jerry Haas, Belleville area native and the head coach at Wake Forest on the UHY Prep Series, Bob Harig as well on the new book coming out on Tiger Woods. Fun show, Jay.
Danny, thanks for being with me and with us, and I'll see you next week.
How do we end the show?
Hit it straight, St. Louis.